Today, we're going to be making a child's pocket. A child's measurement of length 32. The length is 32. A rope trouser, or better still, elastic trouser. The short length is 32. So this is the pockets now. You're going to fold, first of all, fold your fabrics like this into two first. Then you make another folding. That's into four because you're cutting the two pockets at the same time. So the fabric has to be folded into four. So you're supposed to fold your fabrics into like 5.5 inches. For someone of length 32, for a child of 32 inches, 32. That's the child length 32. So you're to fold, make a 5.5 folding. That's the width of the pocket. So make a trimming if not straight. If the edge is not straight, you make a trimming like this. So the folding is 5.5. 5.5. You mark it. Then the length should be 12 inches. This is 12 inches. Very well. The first marking wasn't up to because I had to trim the pocket at the edge. So this is the 12 inches. I have to be sure that the length is 12 inches. That's for someone of length 32, trouser length 32. The 12 inches deepness for the pocket is perfectly okay. And the width of the pocket should be 5.5, just like I said. So you have to put in your ruler and make a straight line to be sure you have an equal measurement. Then you're going to make a little curve. Now this is going to be the edge of the pocket. This is the edge. This is going to be the up of the pocket. Like this one now, this side now is going to be facing up, while this side is going to be the downside. So this is it. We have a 5.5 inches width and a 12 inches length. For length 32, trouser length 32. So this is it. So we're going to be cutting, and don't forget the material is folded into four. That's because we're cutting the two pockets at the same time. So this is it. We're going to be cutting. This is it. We're going to make a little curve here. So this place that has the curve is going to be the downside of the pocket, and while this side you're going to have your up. So you can still make a little marking there for you to know the inside and the outside of the material. I think that's all. 5.5 inches and 12 inches deepness. It's meant to be in 4 pieces. We're supposed to have 2 pieces on the front and 2 pieces on the back. 2 pieces on the back. Then the pocket. That's all. What we'll be making now is a rope trouser. That is the front. And don't forget there's a marking on the clothes. So we'll be able to know the fronts and the back of the fabrics. So this is it. We're going to start with the front. 1 front and 1 pocket. You have to check out for the marking so you don't end up the back side of your fabric outside. Now there's a marking. You're going to be making sure that the pocket is a bit longer than the marking on your trouser. So this is you starting from this. You start from the first marking. This is your first marking, and this is the second marking. So you start from the first marking, and while you're placing it, you just make sure the pocket is a bit higher than the main. Yeah, the pocket should be a bit higher, like higher than the marking. This is the marking. This is the marking on the pocket. So the pocket should be a bit higher. Though the main cloth is higher than the pocket, but you should make sure the pocket is a bit higher than the marking on the pocket. Now this is it. This is how you're going to place it. And make sure they are leveled up here. Or your second can reverse, so the sewing will be very strong. We're going to stop right at the second marking of the pocket mouth. You start from the first marking of the pocket mouth, and you're going to stop right at the second marking of the pocket mouth. Then you make another notch. This time around, you're going to follow your first notching. If you check very well, it's only the material that has the first marking. So this time around, you're going to mark both the pocket and the material together to get the same marking. You're going to stop right at the same place that the first marking stopped. So you're going to stop, follow the marking, and you stopped. And you stopped. So when you're done, you're going to be opening your. You just use scissors. It's not that important that you have to use iron. You just use scissors like this to open the joint. Then when you're done, this is what you're going to get. You're going to be turning the pocket inside of it right now. Then while you're turning the pocket inside, you have to be sure that this joint shouldn't be showing outside. You have to use your hand to put this particular joint outside to make your work neater. And if this joint is showing outside, your work won't be as neat as if it's inside. So you have to use your hand to push the pocket inside. This joint shouldn't be showing outside. This is the outside of your material. This is the pocket side. Make sure this joint is inside. It's appearing on the inside of the pocket. Then you're going to match your fabrics like this. Match it like this. This is the joint I'm talking about. While you're matching it, you have to make sure that the joint is on the inside of the material. You stop right there. Now at this stage, this is what you're going to get. This is the front of the pocket. You can see that. So you're going to get. This is the outside of your material. Now this is the pocket. We're done joining, connecting the pocket mounts together. Then we're going to make another folding. Now this is it. We're going to be turning it inside like this. Explain that again. This is it. There's the outside of your material. This is the inside. This is it. So you're going to be flinging the pocket inside like this. You start from the downside. Make sure it's leveled, flow is equal. Make sure it's equal like this. So you're sewing it round. Now, you discover this is your first marking now. That's your first marking that you make when you're connecting the pocket mount together is here. This is the first marking. So you're going to stop right some few inches to the first marking. This is the first marking while you're turning it. So you stop right some few inches before the first marking. Your sewing is not going to, you don't allow your sewing to reach this first marking here. And when you're done, you make a reverse double stitch to make your sewing strong so it will not be losing. So this is it. This is your first marking. And you're stopping right immediately with some few inches before the first. Go deeper than your sewing. You stop right exactly at that point that your sewing stopped. So this is it. Then you'll be turning the pocket. This marking will enable you to turn the pocket very well. Without this marking, you'll be able to turn your pocket very well. Without this marking, you'll be able to turn your pocket. This second marking, you'll be able to turn your pocket very well. So this marking now will enable you to turn your pocket very well, like this. So this is it. When you're done turning it, this is where you're going to. So you're going to have. Now look at the first marking and look at the second marking. This is the first marking. This is the second marking. So when you're done, now you're able to get this cap now because of this second marking. Without this second marking now, by the time you're connecting your front to the back, you have a little issue here connecting the front and the back. The pockets might be popping out on the side without the second marking now. This second marking now will enable you to join the side together easily without the pocket interfering on the joint. So this is it. Now you first of all join it on the downside, and while you're joining it, because there are times you might be using another material to do pockets. In case maybe you're making a trouser and the material of the cloth is not enough, you're using another material entirely to do the pocket. So this particular one now, you have to make sure it's not appearing outside. Now we have 3 layers. We have the first one, the second one, and the third one. So this is it. So you have to make sure you use your hand to push the second one in. It shouldn't be coming outside. This is what I'm saying. This is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. Everything should be under, push everything inside, it should be under the third one. So it stitches like this. Like this is it. Then this is the second stitching. Before you do the second stitching, you have to be sure. Okay. And before you do your second stitching, you have to be sure, because some people used to make this mistake of not straightening the pocket before you make. Because once you make the second stitching, once there's maybe a kind of fold here, this is going to be an issue. You have to use your hand. When you're done with the first stitching, use your hand to open the pocket, straighten the pocket very well, like this, before you make the second stitching. So you wouldn't have a situation whereby the pocket is kind of puffing up or something. So use your hand to open it before you do the second stitching. This is the same, still the same. The same thing you have here is what you're going to have here. You have 3 layers. This is the first one, the second one, the third one. So make sure you use your hand to push this one inside very well. This is the second one. It should be inside. Make sure the third one is right on top of the second one. Shouldn't be showing at all. This is the third one. So should, in case you're using another colored material to do the pocket, at least it won't be noticeable. So this is it. Now we're done with one side of the front. So this is it. So we're going to be doing the other side of the front. This is the first side of the front. This is the other side of the front. So we're going to be fixing the second pocket right now. So this is it. Okay. Okay. So we're about to fix the second pocket on the other side. And don't forget, this is a rope trouser. What we're making is a rope trouser. So now this is the second pocket. So remember I told you you're going to leave. Now the cloth is meant to be longer. If you place the two together, the cloth is meant to be longer than the pocket. But the pocket is meant to be higher than the notching that indicates your pocket mount. This is the pocket, right? Now this is the material. The material is longer. If you place them, the material is meant to be longer, while the pocket is meant to be longer than the notching on your pocket mount. So this is it. You're going to leave maybe some few inches to it. It should just be longer than your notching, the notching on your material. So this is it. You're going to sew edge to edge from this notching, the first notching to the second notching. You have to make sure your sewing should be exactly at the same line with your notching. Your sewing shouldn't be deeper than your notching. So in case if you feel you're not going to get where, most times you can start to use ruler, make a drawing first before you start, so you don't make mistake. So edge to edge, you reverse. It's advisable to reverse, like you double stitch before the beginning of your sewing and at the end of your sewing, so you don't start losing. You're going to stop right at the second notching. So this is it. Your sewing shouldn't be deeper than your notching. You can see that. This is it. So when you're done, at this stage, you're going to this same marking that is on this same marking that is appearing on your trouser, not on the pocket. This is the pocket. So you're going to make the same marking this time around with both the material and the pocket having the same marking at the same time. You're going to stop right at that point of your sewing. Right at the point of your sewing. So this is it. And when you're done, this is what you're going to get. And remember, don't forget this is the inside of your material. The face of material is meant to face your pocket, not the outside. This is the outside of the material. That's why there's a choking here. This is the outside of the material. This is the inside of the material. So this is when you're done. This is what you're going to get. At this stage, this is it. Then you're going to open this side. You can use your scissors, finger or something. Use your finger to open here. Now this is it. So you're going to turn the pocket. Now this is what you're going to get. This is it. You turn your pocket inside of it like this. Now this is it. So this is it. And don't forget I said this particular joint here, this joint you have here, this joint that connected the pocket and the cloth together is not meant to be shown outside. It's not supposed to. When it's showing outside here, it's a very rough work and it's very wrong. You have to use your hand to push it inside before you match the pocket mount. You have to use your hand to push it inside very well. If you feel it's going to be difficult, you can set to iron, make an ironing first. Use an ironing to turn it inside very well. So this joint don't show outside. So your work can be very, very neat. Or better still, you can use your hand to push it inside and match. Don't forget your matching is still going to start from this point and it's going to end here. It's always advisable to double stitch before you're sewing and at the end of your sewing, so you don't start losing. Is it? Start from there, double stitch. Stop right there, you make a double stitch as well. Now this is it. So this is what we're going to get. We're done matching the mount of the pocket. This is what you have. So at this stage, this is the face of your material. Don't forget, this is it. So you're going to turn the pocket this side, like this, and you start matching it from the downside. From the downside, make sure it's equal. The folding is rightly folded. So this is it. Like this. You're going to stop some few inches to your first marking. Just some few inches. Maybe you can set to make a marking. Do you have a chalk there? Maybe chalk something. So you just make a mark some few inches before your folding. Before your first marking, I mean. Okay, so you're going to stop right there, some few inches before your marking. This is your first marking. This is it. Then some few inches. Stop. This is it. This is your first marking. This is this. This is where you're stopping. So now you make another marking. On the pocket easily, and so when you're joining the side, you're connecting the front to the back. At least this will not be very difficult for you to join. That's the main purpose of marking that second one that I did. So this is it. When you're done with the second marking, so you're going to get. This is it. So you start with the down. You're going to now. When you get to this point, you're going to have like 3 layers here. So the first is the one, this is the top one, and make sure this is not showing outside, so that should in case you might not really show on this. It's the same material for the pocket. But in a situation whereby you're using another color of material for the pocket, it's very, very wrong for this particular one not to show. People don't get to know that another material is inside. So you're going to stitch the first one. The first one you start from the downside. This is the downside. This is the upside. Stitch the downside first. This is it. You double stitch. So when you're done stitching the first side, this is the second side. Then before you stitch the second side, you use your hand to straighten the pocket very well, so the pocket don't end up folding up by the time you're done. So make sure the pocket is straight. It's well relaxed on the material is well relaxed on the pocket before you stitch the second one. And they should be on a straight line also. You can see that. You're stitching the edge as well. You're not to leave excess allowance on it before the stitching. The stitching has to be on the edge exactly. So by the time you join the side, the back, it will not really be noticeable. So this is the front. We're done with the 2 fronts. We've attached our pocket. This is it. This the right side, the left side. So we've gotten our pocket on the material. So now we're going to be attaching the front. We have 4 pieces on the trouser. Front side, 2 pieces. This is the front, these are the fronts, and these are the back. So we're going to be attaching the front to the back. Front and back together. Carry the first front. And this is it. You're going to be attaching the front to the back. One front to one back first. And this is it. And while you're joining it, you have to make sure the front side should be on top while you're joining it, on top of the back. Then you start your joining from the up, not down. So you're going to be connecting the side right now. You have to be sure one side is no longer than the other side. Then while you're joining it, the reason why the front has to be on top of the back is because of your pocket. You have to be sure. You have to be matching it, be feeling it while you're joining it to be sure you're not mistakenly closing back your pocket. Your sewing must not. You have to be very sure. You have to be very careful so your sewing you don't mistakenly climb back the pocket mount. So that's why the front is always advisable that you put the front at the up if you're joining it. So this is it. When you get to this point, you have to be using your hand to feel it. Side. Connecting the side. Now this is the main reason why you did that second marking you did on the pocket. This is it. It's to enable it so that the pocket don't get tangled up with the side if you're joining it. So we're done connecting one side of the front and the back, and now this is what we have. The front side, that's the pocket, and this is the back side. One side is ready, second side. Same thing, the front should be on top, while joining it, and you start from the up side of it. Well done. One side to the back, and the other one front to the back and one front to the back. So the trouser is now in 2 pieces. So we're going to be connecting the whole thing together now. So you start from the front first. Now this is the front side. This is the front side. And now this is the front side. So we're going to be connecting the whole trouser together now. So we start with the front side. We connect the front side first. This is the front of the trouser. So this is it. This is it. No particular measurement on the waist, just like I said. Then the hips, what's the hips measurement? When you're connecting this line, 26. Okay, 26. 26 divided by 2. When you divide your 26 into 2, that's 26 into 2, that's 13, right? So a 3 inches is advisable when you're joining it. It's supposed to be that when you divide your hips measurement into, the measurement we're using here is 26, which is 13. If you divide 13 into 2, so we're going to be sewing 16 inches, not 13. So that's a 3 inches added to it. 13. So we're going to be sewing 16 inches down. This is how you mark your 16. Don't forget this is the front. We're joining the front first before the back. So you'll be marking at 16 inches. And whatever you're going to mark here, it has to be equal here. Whatever allowance you have here, balance your tape on the center like this. This is 16. You mark at 16 inches. This is it. This is it. You can see that this is 16. So this is where my sewing is going to follow. And don't forget this is the front. You join the front first before the back. You're not measuring anything on the waist because you're going to put elastic on the waist. So start joining. Start joining. So this is it. This is the front. You can see the direction the pocket is facing. That's to show you the front side of the material. So now you're going to make a little marking. Call it a notch. You're going to make notchings all around the cloth. So when because you're about to top stitch the material now. Now this is a joint. You're meant to stop stitch the material to make it neater. Although some people can, even if you decide to leave it like this and use that to open it, it's still okay. But it's always advisable when you top stitch, it's always neater. You're going to top stitch this side, and when I mean top stitch, this is what I'm saying, like you're going to double fold. This is the first folding, you've joined the first one. So the second one, you're going to open your trouser right on your machine. So you're going to top stitch, like kind of double stitch. You're going to make another folding to make this side neater. So this your joint will be showing outside. So you double stitch, better still. So this is it. So this is it. Then while you're doing this, you have to be making sure you're using your hand to make a folding. Yeah, I mean to straighten the clothes very well, so you don't have excess folding on the outside of the material. So your sewing will be very neat. Use your hand to open the material very well while you're making this folding. This is it. And make sure for you to get a neat stitch. For your stitches to be very neat, you have to make sure your machine is matching the edge of your folding. Just like when you're folding the clothes, after joining it together, you're making a folding. So make sure your sewing machine is matching the edges of your folding to make your work neater. So this is it. We're double folding it. And make sure you're using your hand to fold it, to straighten it, the material at the same time while you're folding. This is it. This is it. Make sure the sewing machine is actually on the edges of your folding, so your work can be very neat on the inside. This is it. So this is it. We're done with the front. So we're about to join the back right now. And don't forget, we added 3 inches on the hip side. Our hips measurement is supposed to be 26. So now that we're connecting the trouser, we were supposed to mark 13 inches. If you divide 26 inches into 2, it will be 13 inches. So this is the 13 inches. So we're going to be adding a 3 inches to it, which is 16. You can see that. This is it. This is where you're going to measure. This is it. Our hips measurement is 26. This is 26. You add 3 inches to it. This is making it 16. This is it. So this is where your sewing is going to follow. You draw it like this. This is it. This is it. So this is it. This is it. When you're getting closer to this point, you start reducing your sewing. If the allowance is much here, the allowance is not meant to be much when you get to this point. That's your crotch length point. Is this point. So you start bending your tape rule, your machine. Sewing machine. Not that much here. So this is it. Then if you felt, most time if you felt the allowance is much, after taking your measurement, sewing it, if you felt your allowance is much, you can try to maybe trim it a little bit before double folding it. So you make a notch, so we call a notch. Make a cutting. So when you're double folding it, the material will not be squeezing. To be easier for you to double fold. So about to double fold it, then this is how you open it. This is it. Open it like this. The same thing you did on the front. You make a fold. While you're making a fold, you're using your hand to open the material, and you're making sure that your machine is matching the edge of your folding at the same time. So your stitching can be very neat. That's it. Open it very well. And be sure you're not matching the front of the cloth. So you'll be making a fold. Your machine should be matching the tip of your folding. Make sure you're using your hand to open it while you're making the fold. So we're done with the back. We've connected the front, so this is the back now. Now, connected the front and the back together. So this is what you're going to get. There's the front side. You can see the pocket facing off. So this is the front side. This is the back side. We've connected it together.